Hakuri from Kagurabachi. I'm going to get into it. So Hakuri was born on March 27th. The year has not been disclosed. We don't really know the year. And he was raised as a member of the Sazanami clan. All members are expected to use spirit energy at a young age, and him being a blood relative of Kiora, along with his brothers Soya and Tenri, his blood relatives, he was expected to be special, right? After his grandfather had passed, Kiora told his children that he would pass the storehouse authority to one of them. And Hakuri, he talks to his father, and he says that he would one day become a better leader than him, and this earns his father's praise. However, by 12 years old, Hakuri is unable to do any of the basic skills that other clan members could already do by the age of 8. So he was barred from training and treated poorly by the family. Kiora especially was extremely unhappy with his lack of talent, and this led to him being constantly beat up by his siblings and abused, especially by his older brother Soya, who cared for him in a wicked and twisted way, wanting him to be obedient and subservient to the family. Soya would torture Hakuri with tools, but seemingly he always ended up losing these tools. And Kiora would see this torture, and he noticed it, but he would do nothing to stop it. Hakuri was made aware of the human and item trafficking that the clan performed, but he did not see anything wrong with it. Because as reality was, he grew up in this, and so he was eventually desensitized to this dehumanization of these individuals. And the people in this clan would refer to these individuals as merchandise, dehumanizing them even more. During August of the year of the 208th Rakuzaichi, they were going to held. The Rakuzaichi is basically their great auction that they have. It's this grand auction that they have where they sell off all these materials, these people, these items, and this is how their family has essentially makes their living. Eventually, Hakuri was put on feeding duty for a woman with icy cold skin who was to be auctioned and held in a warehouse. This warehouse is near the Sazanami estate. The woman wasn't eating for a couple days because she was planning to starve herself to death to be avoided as sold as property, right? And as they briefly spoke, she attempted to manipulate Hakuri into freeing her. After attempting this, she told him that she would eat if Hakuri would accompany her during her meal times, to which he agreed. And Hakuri would eat with her, and them growing closer and opening up to one another. And this is when she learned of his bullying by his siblings, but the day before the woman was to be transferred to the storehouse being another dimension, it's like a subspace where merchandise is stored to be prepared for the auction, Hakuri was beaten particularly badly by his siblings and broke down in tears during his conversation with the icy-skinned woman. Hakuri believing himself worthless to the clan. The woman would then comfort him and tell him that he had value to her because of their conversations and because she would always enjoy their meals. On the day of the transfer, Hakuri came to her cell and unlocked the door, offering her the opportunity to eat outside, essentially giving her her freedom. And as Hakuri went to open the door, the woman picked up a knife that she had found and held it to her neck. She explained that she wanted to escape so that she could die and no longer wanted to live with the cold skin that she had. She told him that previously someone she once loved had sold her off and she never believed that someone would not abandon her again, essentially saying she has the trauma from this, right? Which is understandable. Her only worth in this life would be used as a tool or a curiosity for some sick individual out there, and that she has no hope outside of a cage or anywhere else in the world. She then sliced her neck in front of him, leaving the distraught Hakuri to break down, realizing in this moment the era of the Rakuzaichi and of the Sazanami clan, how it had ruined this woman's life. And going even further to hate his own part in facilitating her demise. And sometime after this, since he had no talent in any of the sorcery that the clan used, and since he was starting to rebel against the family, Kiora was eventually disowned from the Sazanami clan. And so now we have his origin, go over his powers and abilities. He has the powers of the storehouse, right? Storehouse being a space manipulation sorcery where you could create a subspace which you could fill with items, individuals that are registered by you, right? And whenever he uses his power, he gets a white eyepiece identical to the one used by the clan heads. Because he is the first, aside from the original clan head, to have both the power of Iso and of the storehouse. What is Iso? We'll get into that later. But it's explaining that he was special. It's just, it wasn't explained until later, basically, right? And most of Hakuri's energy is being used to maintain the storehouse. And that's why he was so bad at Iso. Because since he was constantly maintaining the storehouse for basically his entire life, it was hard for him to allocate that energy to doing any other tasks. But once he became aware of it, he was able to reallocate his spirit energy, and he was able to perform the abilities and the tasks that were coming from Iso, right? That's what he could do other sorcery. And the clan sorcery or Kiora storehouse, which is his father, and his own storehouse are two separate ones. And the two are unable to directly interact with the other with the registered items and individuals. However, Hakuri can send his own registered items into Kiora's, but right now for him, this takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of work. And the storehouse has several prominent abilities. The foundational ability is registration. Registration allows a user, after touching an item or an individual, to be registered into the store house. The process can be counteracted by spirit energy used to oppose it, and items that have been imbued with foreign spirit energy will not be allowed to be registered. However, items that have imbued with spirit energy of a registered sorcerer can be registered, right? So basically this means that if an individual has been registered into the storehouse, they can imbue the energy into an item, and then that item will then become registered as well to the storehouse, if that makes sense. And one of the other prominent abilities he has is teleportation. An item or individual that is registered can then be transported in or out of the storehouse, and wherever he chooses, the item or individual will appear or disappear with a cloud of black smoke. We have seen him use this to move prisoners out of Kiora's storehouse already. And we've also seen him use this to, when he was first testing it out, to take the pliers and the other torture tools that Soya had used on him and materialize it out of that universe, or materialize them into his storehouse, right? And then we also saw him use this to teleport Chihiro into Kiora's storehouse. Although all these tasks were difficult for him as he was not really aware of the storehouse. Another really good ability he has is basically it's telepathy, right? Hakuri can speak to anyone that has been registered from any distance, basically telepathic, and he can hear the voices as well, even allowing some semblance of awareness of the individual's surroundings, as we can see with his support of Chihiro in his battle with Kiora. Even when Chihiro was in Kiora's storehouse, he was still able to communicate with Chihiro. But this, for long terms of time, is very physically and mentally draining for Hakuri. Another really good ability that he has is projections, right? He can create projections of anything that's within his storehouse to the real world, or any different location within his storehouse. And he used this in his battle with Kiora to create a false image of Chihiro to distract Kiora, allowing Chihiro to strike a blow on Kiora, being pretty pivotal in the battle. And then finally we have Iso. And Iso is like the family's signature technique, right? Which allows them to create shockwaves. And initially, he was basically not good at it at all. Every time he fired it, it would misfire, and it just would not work. And a lot of this came from his self-perception of having no value. Once he was able to conquer these feelings, and he used it against his brother, sending his brother back several meters, which is a drastic improvement for what it was before. And after even further understanding his own spirit energy, having an I understand it now moment, he was able to reallocate energy from the storehouse to his Iso. And this greatly strengthened his power and knocked his wounded brother Soya out in this clean, majestic scene right here. And then finally we'll get to the conclusion. Hikaru confronts his brother. I keep saying Hakari, no, this is not JJK. Hikaru confronts his brother and his father in a spectacular fashion, right? Eventually, we had this scene where when he and Chihiro defeat his father, he realizes the error of his ways. And he looks at his son and he realizes that he messed up, right? He ruined the lives of everyone in his clan with his love for the Rakuzaichi. And then also with his abusive brother. He eventually beats and knocks out his abusive brother, whose twisted love had turned into a murderous anger when he finds out that he inherited both the storehouse and the Iso ability. I would say Hikaru is an amazing and well-written character and my favorite character in Kagurabachi. I believe that this is a character who went from weak to honestly pretty powerful, and I think it was done like very well. Like he was essential in the fight against Kiora, right? And it's not like this just came out of like nowhere. Like he really had to work for. Like bro was really suffering for a long time to get there, and he had to overcome this physical and mental torture to get there. Another thing I also really like is how the author will talk about the dangers of being in a toxic like family culture or toxic environment like this. How they talks about it with the Icy Girl, and how it's also shown with the abusive family members treating him lesser because he's not as strong or as powerful or as talented as them. Especially with such a high expectations and how that leads to that feeling of worthlessness within Hakuri. I really like that story. It reminds me a lot of in JJK with what is that clan? With Mei and Mai's clan, and how they would treat Toji and people who didn't exactly fit in a pretty similar way. So I thought that was really interesting. Another reason why I just like this story. And I'm really happy that he's becoming like a bigger character in the series. He's becoming a main character in the series. And I really like that he's drawing Chihiro as an ally. And I'm really excited for where the author is going to take this character next and what they're going to do with him, because I really like this character, honestly. So yeah, that's just me talking about my favorite character in Kagurabachi. I'll probably make more videos analyzing other characters in Kagurabachi, because there's only 61 chapters or 59 chapters right now, I believe. So we don't really have as much information on these characters, but I just wanted to do it now since we've got a good amount of information to talk about it. And I want people to be talking about Kagurabachi. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I appreciate all of you for taking the time to watch this video. See you.